Yes, now moving on to the next video of the subject verb agreement. Now we are in the first video we did till rule number 6. Now in the second module we will be starting off with rule number 7. Now some nouns which are plural in form but singular in meaning take a singular verb. Okay, now there are certain words that always end with an S, like for example economics, mathematics, news, statistics, scissors, you don't say scissor, socks, trousers. These are certain words that always end with the S, and so they always are in the plural form but they are actually singular in meaning. So what happens to them is when a verb has to go with them, it is always, though they are singular in meaning, they always take a singular verb. Is that clear? So for example, economics is a dull subject. Now no economics commerce teacher should be hearing this, but economics, this is just an example, economics is a dull subject. See the word, it ends with an S. It is not in its plural form. It is actually in its singular form. So the subject that agrees with it, it is. Now news. News. We cannot say new. News. It's always said it is in its plural form. But it is, we are referring to just one news. So news is telecast every hour. Okay, so here news is singular, it has a singular verb that is agreeing with it, and then the scissors is in the drawer. Scissor, you don't say scissor. Whenever you use the word scissors, it's always ending with the word S, isn't it? So when we ask somebody wants it, you say the scissors is in the drawer. Always you take the singular verb. Okay, now moving on to the next one, next rule. Nouns denoting food, clothing, furniture, stationery are singular and take singular verbs. Now food, we know food, that there are many items that are included into food, isn't it? They all come under the food category. Clothing, any type of clothing, shirt, pants, trousers, sari, blouse, skirts, this, that, everything. Furniture, when you say furniture, it just does not include only chair. Anything is included. Chairs, tables, desk, anything wooden is there, drawers, cupboards, everything. Then stationery, pen, pencils, anything like that are singular and are considered to be singular and take a singular verb. Okay, now see for example, this furniture is very old. This furniture is very old. Now when you say furniture, actually it includes many things, but here if you want to specifically say this table is very old, you can say. But now when we just refer to everything together, we assume them to be singular, and then the verb that goes with it is singular. Then rice is over by 5 kg when you return. So rice, it's a food, it is something that denotes food, so it is assumed to be a single unit, and so the verb that goes with it has to be a singular. Rice is over, please buy 5 kg when you return. Okay, then the next rule, when the name of a country or a book or a film is donated in a plural form, it is used with a singular verb. Now first, there are certain countries that use the, isn't it? Like the United States of America, the United Arab Emirates, or the United Kingdom, or the Scandinavian islands, the Canary Islands, the Fiji Islands. So, now they are all actually just one, but they are sometimes addressed in their plural form. So, when a verb has to be attached to it, it is always in its singular verb. The verb that has to go with it is always the singular verb. Like example I have given you, the United States of America is considered as a land of opportunity. The United States of America is just one country, isn't it? But it is addressed in the form of plural. It takes a plural sense. So, here though it is plural form of the noun, it is actually is one country, and so the verb that has to agree with it is. Okay. Now, then the next example I have given you here is, The Lord of the Rings is an interesting book. Okay, The Lord of the Rings. Now see, The Lord of the Rings is actually a title of the book. Now just because rings is in the plural doesn't mean now you are the same. It's a title of the book, and it is the name is it may be in different volumes. So, but it is one book, and the name is of that book is the book is it is not the different volumes of it. We are just referring to one volume of it. It is a singular, and so we have the verb that agrees with it or that has to go with it is. Then the 10th rule, whenever we use a pair of, we use the singular verb. Now whenever you have got a pair of, the verb that goes or agrees with it is always singular. For example, a pair of scissors is kept on my table. A pair of shoes was gifted to him. A pair of. Okay. So, the verb is always singular. Though now a pair of shoes are always goes to the number. You never take one shoe. Whenever we use two of it, isn't it? So, it is considered as one, and the verb that has to go along with it is always in its singular form. Okay. Now, the next rule, but. Now, see, there is an exception to it also. But when these nouns are used without, now when they are used with a pair of, they are considered as a single unit, and the verb that has to go with it is always in its singular form. But if and when they are used without a pair, they take the plural verb. Okay. So, here now another example I have given you. Shoes. Here again see shoes. Is a pair there? No. So, here shoes are both taken as two different things. They are plural, and so here what happens is the verb that goes with it is are. His shoes are torn. Okay. Then now the next one, when two subjects are joined by as well as. Okay, now see, there are certain words when two subjects are joined with as well as. When they are joined with as well as, or with the word with, or along with, the verb that agrees with it has to agree with the first subject. Now see, this is a little confusing. Now whenever you have got sentences which have the use of the word as well as, with, or along with, the verb, whenever you have to attach a verb, you have to see that it agrees with the first subject. There may be a number of subjects in that sentence. Okay. So, the subject, you have to first see that it agrees with the first subject. Okay. Now for example, it will become more clear here. It will become more clear here when I use when I give you this example. Like for example, like the king along with his ministers has arrived. Okay. Now see here, the rule says when there are two subjects, isn't there two subjects, king and ministers, two subjects, and they are joined with as well as or with or along with. But what it is joined here with along with. The king along with his ministers. Now we do not know which verb has to go, arrive. So it says that the verb has to agree with the first subject. So now here, remember in this subject we have got two subjects here. The king as the first subject, the ministers is the subject, is the second subject. Which is the first subject here? The king. The king here, this first subject here is in its singular form or in its plural form? It's in its singular form, isn't it? So that means the verb has to agree with the first subject. Okay, so that means here the verb has to be has. Has, it is agreeing with the first subject. It agrees with the first subject or the first noun that is there in the subject part of your sentence. Is this clear, children? The king along with his ministers has arrived. So now this part is your subject of the sentence. Now when you look at the subject, there are two subjects in that. The first subject happens to be the king, the second subject happens to be the ministers. Now this, the king, the one that is the first subject, in which form is it? It is the king, so it is singular, and the second one is ministers, that is in the plural form. So according to this, because it is, you are using this along with, the verb has to agree with the first subject, so that means has to agree with the first subject. So what will agree with it? Has agrees with the singular subject. It takes the singular subject because your first subject happens to be a singular noun. Now another example, it will become a little more clearer there. Okay, now second one is the teachers along with the principal are discussing the board results. Okay, you have got now you have got a long sentence. The teachers along with the principal are discussing the board result. So which is the subject part of your sentence here? You have got the teachers along with the principal. Then which is the predicate part of the sentence along with the verb? You have got are discussing the board results is your predicate part of the sentence, isn't it? Now in this subject part of your sentence, we realize that there are two subjects. One is the teachers and the second one is the principal, isn't it? Now look at the first subject. The first subject, is it in the singular form or in its plural form? It is in its plural form, teachers, isn't it? So it's in its plural form. Now the second subject, when we look at the principal, it is just in its singular form. So according to this rule, it says that the verb has to agree with the first subject. Now here, because the first subject is in its plural form, what will be the verb that you will be writing here? Are or were. Are in the in the present form and were in its past form. So now did you understand? Whatever is the first subject, the verb has to agree with that, and that is how you will put the verb there. Okay, so now with this I will end my second module here, and remaining a few more rules are there which will be done in your third module. Okay, thank you children.